going to focus on 3 moves that are common in relationship conflict, which are false question, false ignorance, and externalization. So a false question is when I ask you something, but I'm not really curious about what your answer is. I'm just using the question as a way to direct the conversation away from something that I don't want to talk about. So if I ask my kid to clean his room and he says, why, that's a false question because he's actually not really curious about my reasons for wanting him to clean the room. He just doesn't want to clean the room and he wants to redirect the conversation away from him having to clean the room and me wanting him to do that. So when my wife asks me a question in a discussion, I need to take a breath and think about, is she really curious about what my answer might be? Or is she just using this question to try to steer the conversation away from something that she doesn't want to talk about? And even more importantly, when I ask a question, am I sincerely curious or am I doing the same thing where I'm using a question to take control of the conversation? In an argument, most questions that get asked are these kind of false questions where the purpose of the question is just to redirect the conversation away from a topic that somebody doesn't want to talk about. The second move is false ignorance. And this is similar to a false question in that I'm going to pretend to know less about something than I really know as a way to redirect the conversation away from talking about that thing. So if my wife says to me, James, I want you to care about me more than you do, I might say, well, tell me what caring means to you. When realistically, I mean, we've been married for 24 years and I have a pretty good idea about what caring means to her. I'm just asking her a question because I don't want to deal with the fact that she's asking me to do something that's really difficult. Another way that false ignorance comes up is when someone says, well, I don't know how you feel unless you tell me. When realistically, human beings are pretty good at figuring out what other people feel, especially if you've been married for a long time. So I know a lot about what my wife feels and she knows a lot about what I feel. And just the fact that I didn't tell her what I feel doesn't mean that she doesn't already have some inkling of what's going on inside me. So if you claim ignorance in an argument, take a breath and ask yourself the question, am I exaggerating my ignorance here? Or do I really know more about this topic than what I'm letting on? This is like the basic strategy that lawyers teach their clients to do in courtrooms is to say, I don't recall, I don't know, because it's a pretty effective way to get out of someone's pressure. But if I want to have effective relationship communication, I need to do the opposite of that. I need to actually reveal more of my mind to my partner, not pretend that I don't know things that I actually do know. The third move is externalization, which is when I pretend that something is not my choice when it actually is my choice. And so an example of this is if someone invites me to go somewhere and I say, oh, I'm so sorry I can't, when in reality I could, but I don't want to.